Hi, welcome back to the Beauty Authority. I'm Tatiana Bido, Director of Aesthetic Content. Today, we'll be talking about Enerjet, a new treatment that's helping with a variety of skin concerns. But Kim today is here to talk to us about her acne scarring. Hi, Kim. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming and speaking with New Beauty about your treatments. Tell me a little bit about your history with acne and specifically scarring and how you've dealt with it over the years.
Sure. So I've had acne all my teenage to up into my current life, and my derm will tell you once an acne patient, always an acne patient. So I've had time in my life when I've had bad hormonal breakouts, or cut to now as I'm in perimenopause, a whole new set of hormonal breakouts. So it really, while I haven't always had the scarring, unbeknownst to me, as I'm getting older and noticing collagen loss and elasticity, I noticed that scarring became more prevalent and more pronounced, which was very unwelcoming for me because now all of a sudden, while someone of my age may be more concerned with either pro-aging techniques and different aesthetic treatments, I'm dealing with scarring, with textural changes to my skin. So it has been a whole new journey on this acne journey of my
And
skin.
how did that feel decades later after dealing with this, earlier in your youth for this to be a problem again?
It's really like, I mean, in the context of skin, it's traumatic and it's very emotional because here I was in my 30s and 40s, had pretty good skin overall. As I said, I had the hormonal breakout here and there, but I really didn't have scarring. My derm, who I've seen for over 20 years, took such great care of me. And I believe the scarring occurred when I wasn't seeing her because we lived in different parts of the country. Um, so definitely be sure to see a good provider. But it was traumatic. It's a whole new thing. To me, that's the first thing I see when I look in the mirror. And even though someone else may not notice it, I get very self-conscious about it. And I'm a confident person. And to have the not feel confident on the outside was really affecting me emotionally.
Yeah, and that's not something that you can easily hide or cover up. You know,
No.
like other insecurities we might have, you might wear like a sweater to cover something up, but this is something that is front facing. So I know it must have been heavy on your mind. So when did Enerjet, that particular treatment, enter the scene?
So I work in the beauty industry, and I was at an event, and it was a Sinclair Aesthetics event, and they had their devices at this event. And Dr. Carniol, who you'll speak with soon, was there. And I was talking to him about, what treatment would be good for scarring, and they have other devices. And he was telling me about Enerjet and what it does. And I had seen a plastic surgeon about a year and a half back for something totally different. This was like doing a more like non-ablative laser treatment.
Right.
And
Heavy
he's
resurfacing.
exactly. And he said, if anyone tells you that treatment X will get rid of your scarring, run the other way, because the only way to get rid of your type of acne scarring is literally to go in with a cannula and break up the bands of the scarring. And then you have to sometimes fill it with, some filler, and while
Yeah.
your skin remodels. And once it gets to a point where the remodeling has occurred, you can then use these other resurfacing treatments. And so when I was telling Dr. Carniol this, he was like, you have to try Enerjet because it's literally does not we don't go in with the cannula and it's not as traumatic of an experience. And
Right.
I was like, all right, let's try it. I'll try anything because it's really something that bothers me. And he has himself has seen tremendous results in his practice. So I trusted him completely and was really excited to give Energet a try.
And can you tell me a little bit about Energet? What was the process like for you?
So the treatment process, I was actually surprised at how painless it was, especially when the alternative was the cannula. Hearing that that wasn't pleasant. So Energet is more, I think the sound of it is more jarring because it sounds like a stapler, like a staple gun. So you're anticipating that, but I would say the pain is on a like 1 to 1.5 on a pain scale. Really nothing. And they just hit your scarring spots. And then it depends on what they use. They can either hyperdilute it with filler, or they can also do PRP and PFN. And I've had both. And either way, it was the same, pain threshold. But if you're doing PRP, obviously there's a blood draw. And then I just would come away with it would look like little mosquito bite bumps
Mhm.
and maybe some redness. There were times I was red, there were times I weren't. And then I go home with, bumps all over my face. And then the next day they've subsided. I might have a little dot on the top of them because
Mhm.
you've done the sort of like the injection of it. And I would say if I came in on a Thursday or Friday, I'd be pretty good to go by Monday, Tuesday.
And we should say, I know Dr. Carniol is gonna explain a little more about it, but it's a needle-free
Yeah.
treatment.
Yeah.
So, you're not, having that same feeling that you might have with other treatments that penetrate the skin in that way.
Correct.
What was that like?
I mean, I've had obviously from other treatments where you have needle injections, but I think it's amazing. I think it's breakthrough. I think it's so cutting edge. To me, there's nothing like that out there in the beauty industry, to my knowledge. And I think it's for me, it gave me such hope and such a way to treat my scarring that didn't leave me with downtime of like weeks.
Yeah.
I didn't bruise. There was no, like I said, the biggest thing I had was some redness, but that went away.
And how long were the treatments and how many did you have?
So I've had 3 on my cheeks and then 2 on my chin. I still have to have 1 more on my chin. And then what's really interesting is there's certain places on my face now, mainly my cheeks, that can't be treated with Energet because they've healed so much that Energet wouldn't do anything for
That's
the
awesome.
scar repair. So after I've had my chin done, then I do some resurfacing
And
and some.
how long before you started to see results, and what did those results look like?
So after my first treatment, when I came in for my second, actually my second to third was the most like this is unbelievable. I, I was like, I can't believe I used to walk around like that. uh, but it was pretty remarkable. And that was after when I had done it with the PRP. The remodeling results were really quite substantial. To me, they were.
And how far apart were your treatments?
It's about 4 to 5 weeks.
So after about a month or a little more than a month, you can go back and have another treatment.
Exactly, exactly. And then after my next, the treatment on my chin, then I'll go for all over resurfacing.
And how do you feel about your results today? How has your results and this treatment impacted your confidence overall?
It's it's you can't explain it to someone who doesn't have scarring. Because now when I look in the mirror, I don't see texture. I actually see smoothness. I see my skin. It's like having new skin, really. Um, in a different way from if I've done a microneedling treatment or a peel. If you don't have textured skin, to see it be smooth is just my, I don't know. It's really been an emotional joy to be able to have the skin that to me reflects how I feel inside. And so it's really been a tremendous success in my opinion.
Your skin looks beautiful
Thank you.
and very smooth.
Thank you.
Looking back now, what would you tell someone who's struggling with the same exact thing and has had acne scars or is having another bout of acne again like you experienced?
I think the biggest thing is never feel hopeless or helpless. Be under the care of a good doctor that you trust. And after seeing so many different doctors, other than the one that I told you who I've been seeing for over 20 years, when they would tell me this treatment X is going to get rid of your scarring, and to when Dr. Carniol and that other plastic surgeon said they were just trying to sell you treatments that would never move the needle.
Right.
And so I think finally being told the truth and then actually seeing results is just been so game changing and just really, I can't put into words how much it's been, um, what it means for me to have this transformation in my skin. And I think anyone who's looking for that will hopefully have that same experience. Know that
Wonder
there's hope.
Wonderful. And I know your story is going to help a lot of people because that's something, right? When we want to solve a problem, we're out there looking for all the answers. And so I really thank you for sharing your answer and what has helped you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. And I hope it does help other people who are going through the same thing.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. Now we're going to talk to Dr. Carniol so he can give us the scoop on the treatment and how Enerjet works. Thank you,
Amazing.
Kim.
Thank you. Let me go get him.
Hi, now we are going to speak with New Jersey facial plastic surgeon Dr. Eric Carniol. Kim was so gracious to tell us her story and her history with acne scars. Why do acne scars sometimes appear or look more pronounced as we age?
It's a great question. So as we age, those scars are always there. But then over time, our skin starts to thin out. Why? Mostly it's, two things. It's age and it's sun exposure. And so as the skin starts to thin, the cushion underneath those scars starts to thin out a little bit disproportionately. And so then you'll start to see those divots come back a little bit as we age, for Kim a little bit later on. Um, Rather than still in our 20s.
Enerjet sounds like an amazing treatment, especially the needle-free part. Can you describe the mechanism of how it works and what conditions it treats?
So Energet treats a variety of problems for patients. It's really great for those depressed scars, those dip down scars. It's really great for facial aging. It's really great for those wrinkles, which are basically scars, including those tech neck lines, which people nowadays really hate from staring at their phone like this. So what it's really
Yes.
good at is number one, filling in deep down depth. And two is contracting things. So even for thicker scars, They're great for kind of collapsing those scars.
What is the energy that is being used? What is the mechanism of action that is working in the skin?
Unlike many other devices, we're not actually putting energy into the skin itself. What we're doing is we're depositing a very small amount of material at a super high velocity. So it's over 200 meters per second. A fraction of a cc of volume is going into each and every particular scar in the case of acne scars. And so underneath the skin, the volume goes in. It literally causes a ballistic effect. It's like a mini explosion of all these molecules and breaking up these tethers. What that does is it breaks up some collagen in that then the fibroblasts, those good, the good growing substance cells of our skin are able to then grow back and put in nicely layered things. So that's really important, nicely layered products of good collagen. So it's healthy healing, which I think is really, really important nowadays as we'll talk about other products. And so it's that immediate filling that we get when I use Enerjet for some acne scars. I use a little bit of filler
Mhm.
traditionally. So one, we put in a little filler, so that adds volume. Then I add in some PRP and play-rich plasma, play-rich fibrin. And so that then deposits amazing amount of growth factors. Plus, you have the biostimulation of the actual traumatic event of the injection. So what then we see is we get to see that ongoing changes for things like acne scars, which are deeper. Obviously, other treatments we treat with kind of different things in the treatment, but it's basically a shot, but without a needle. That's done in a
Mhm.
fraction of a second. So it is faster than a needle going into the skin, injecting, pulling the needle out. It's faster than any of those steps, and so patients don't have enough time to feel pain, which is great.
So it uses, is it pressure?
Yes, it's a pneumatic device. It's like a paintball gun. And it
Mm.
sounds a little bit like a paintball gun. So every once in a while, someone gets a little scared of the sound. And so I always kind of test it off on their side. And then they kind of get used to the sound. Um, but after that, it's pretty comfortable.
So in layman's terms, it's using pressure to push something into the dermis. And in Kim's situation, you're pushing in either PRP, PRF, or hyaluronic acid filler.
Correct. Oh, and all of those things at once, which is
Oh,
really
at the
great.
same
At
time.
the same time.
So that's gonna help with volume, like you said, and also with healing and cell
Yeah.
regeneration.
All of those things together. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. So that's a really complete one and done without the needles.
Yes. And for those
Amazing.
patients who are needle phobic or very sensitive, it's a really nice treatment for them. And especially for acne scars, where you're talking about kind of extensive areas. We'll talk about previous treatments and other modalities. This is as painless as we get, which is really nice.
That's wonderful. And so with Kim's treatment, she mentioned that she had treatments on her cheeks and on her chin. How do you determine someone's treatment protocol? Is it just individually based on what they need, or does everybody get the same amount of sessions?
Great question. So first, Enerjet is fantastic for the really deep scars. So those are the scars that patients traditionally, when they come see me, they've already had a CO2 laser or an erbium laser or microneedling. And because those scars are very deep, the treatment actually was not able to deliver into the scar itself. It delivered really well around it.
Mhm.
And so then the scars were not treated. What the Enerjet does is it actually goes into the particular scar and it breaks it up. And I can see that right away. Sometimes it actually takes a couple of different shots with it to kind of really see that tether breaking well. And so whenever I see someone, I take a look at how much of their scar tissue is kind of those deep tethers. How much of it are those superficial ones? The deep ones, that's where Energet shines. Actually, so what I do for all my patients is I kind of have a bridge program where we get the deep scars superficial, so that
Mhm.
those are the scars that most of the time actually hide okay with makeup, as opposed to those deep boxcar scars, those ice patch scars, which makeup just ends up caking in it. Right, the next day
Right.
after you take off your makeup, the makeup's still there. Those are Energet scars.
Mm.
And so then once I get those scars superficial, usually that takes at least a couple treatments. then we'll bridge to a more superficial treatment. And so that's when I'll bring back in microneedling, CO2 laser, or beam laser, something like that, which is better at the surface polish, but would fail and has failed it so many times for those deep acne scars.
Yeah, so it sounds like from what Kim was saying, one of the only options she had before to really treat this in the way that she wanted was subcision, which is
Yeah.
going in and sort of cutting. So this is knife free, right? Scalpel free,
Yes. Yep.
and a
It's
much
almost
easier option for people to undergo.
yes. The subcision is was my workforce for these deep acne scars. It's a painstaking procedure. It's 45 minutes of real hard work for me.
Yeah,
And there's no question, even with really good numbing, it's a painful process for the patient. And
yeah,
as well, those patients have pretty significant bruising and downtime afterwards. It's
right.
worth it for them. It's great, but pretty significant downtime. And so the Energet is able to do subcision but with a using a pinpoint entry spot. And so it's really nice in that way because it helps raise that tissue in a very focused way. So patients, their downtime is substantially less than what it is for subcision.
And then the goal is to get the same note that Kim got, which is we can't do any more work on your cheeks because they're already smooth enough, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's the goal is that,
Yeah.
if we could get those deep scars superficial, then great. That's where, hey, a good foundation may be wonderful, or some of our finesse polishing treatments are going to be a little bit better as well.
Well, Enerjet sounds amazing. So, how do you see this technology fitting into the future of acne scar treatment and regenerative aesthetics overall?
Yeah. So for acne scars, for me, it has replaced subcision. I
Right.
think in the last year, I've done one subcision case because the patient just said that this was the only thing she's ever wanted. But everything else, I say that the Energet is subcision in a painless or as close to a painless fashion as we can get, in an easy way for me, the practitioner, doing it with really excellent results. And so I think for acne scar patients, for me, it's a game changer. We are now in the new regimen of Energet for all these deep scars and everything else. We can worry about the superficial parts.
And what about maintenance? Will this be a treatment that Kim or a patient who's undergone this protocol, will they need to have it repeated every year?
I think for a lot of patients, they will forever be that much better off.
Mhm.
But yes, I think for a lot of patients, when I bridge them over to things like microneedling, that surface refresh for the skin, that'll be something that they continue to stimulate that collagen, elastin fibers to help keep their skin nice and plump, keep that skin as smooth as possible. I think there are some patients that will end up redoing kind of an energy treatment every year. But no matter what, even when I see those patients a year or 2 years later, and
Mhm.
yes, I've been doing this that long, those patients are so significantly better. They're
Yeah.
just starting to fall down a little bit and they haven't been doing the maintenance. And so I think for regenerative medicine, Energet is really a fantastic thing, delivering natural products to us. Yes, some hyaluronic acid, but also their own PRP and PRF into the skin to help enable the patients to regenerate themselves. Right. And that's really the goal.
That is the goal and it is the future. So I love hearing about new treatments that we have at our disposal. And it sounds like you're having a lot of success with Energet at your practice.
It's really just fantastic.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Carniol. I really appreciate you breaking this down for us. Thank you for speaking with New Beauty today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.